Hey everybody, welcome into the Michael Wall Show. Got a great show for you today. We're going to talk about the idea of putting truth, not lies, truth, into action and how it will change your life. Joined today again with a guest, friend, great guy, Pastor Troy Maxwell. He is the founding pastor of Freedom House Church. He's also the author of The Panic Room, THE in advance. If you Google search it, The Panic Room, very important. Troy, we're going to unpack this on the show today. You're not going to want to miss it. Putting truth into action. All right, guys, so we're jumping back in here, and this is part two. If you've missed part one, listen, we talked about standing for truth in challenging times, and it was a great show, just kind of jumping into what that looks like. Our culture today is challenged. I think we all understand we are living in, we'll call it a fragile ice state in America right now, Troy, right? I mean, it's real. People feel it. Yeah. It's out there. So what should we do? So if you missed part one, go back and watch it. It's going to give you a lot of great things that you're going to learn, and I think I'll be able to apply to your life, and hopefully even challenge you, really, Troy. That's the goal. Challenge people.
Make you get uncomfortable a little bit.
We want to empower you. Go live your life. Let's change the world. It's not about, let me wait for this person or that person or this person to change the world. It's about, let me be a part of changing the world as you live out your purpose, right? Yeah. And that's really what it's about. So let's talk about putting truth into action, Troy, because I believe that we have an overload of content and information. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. We are inundated with information, and we're in a place where that can cause deer in the headlights. Mm-hmm. Who should I listen to? What should I believe? Where should I go next? I just need to think about it, which is not a good idea because sometimes you don't even know what you're even thinking about. So let's talk about taking the truth from part one, which is God's word, applying it to our lives. John 8, you talked about, right, as far as the foundation, and truth shall set you free. Right. And now we're going to talk about applying these things into your life practically. Right. Let's talk about that.
So first of all, I think you got to practically know the truth. Yeah. I mean, let's be honest. It starts with knowing. Mm-hmm. You got to know. You got to have an understanding of your topic. People ask me all the time, how long does it take you to prepare a message, like for the weekend? And usually it takes me about 20 hours to do about a 40-minute message. Mm-hmm. Now, I've been doing it for 30 plus years now, so I have a little bit of practice in doing it. Yep. The communication part of it is the easy part for me now. Mm-hmm. The preparation part is always going to be the challenging part. So what I mean for people who are watching, so where do I go? How do I take the next step? Mm-hmm. Know what you're going to talk about. Know your truth. Mm-hmm. I have a little saying, values determine choices, choices determine results. Values determine choices, choices determine results. So if I know the truth, then I'm going to have a value that is me. So practically, I don't know if we want to break this down this way, but practically, what are your values? Yeah. We all have them. Yeah. What are your values? Write them down. Yeah. Write down, what are your values? If we're talking about abortion, what do you believe? Yeah. If we're talking about marriage, what do you believe? Mm-hmm. If we're talking about relationships, what do you believe? Mm-hmm. What are your values? Yeah. Loyalty, friendship, money. Yeah. We all have values concerning those. Yeah. We have a truth that we live by. How do you know what that truth is? You make choices around it. Yeah. So. And what's interesting, Troy, too, is those values a lot of times, they come from your upbringing, right? And some of you that are watching this, maybe you had a wonderful upbringing. Some of you, it was very challenged. I would imagine to say, or venture to say, many of the folks watching this had a challenging upbringing in some capacity. And what's happened is, think about it this way. What that does is, I call it the financial blueprint in the financial world. Many of you may or may not know we have financial companies, but that's kind of been my mission for years and years and years. But you get a blueprint. And what do I mean by that is the way you look at life, the way you look at situations, the way you look at and encounter certain things that happen. Maybe you see somebody drive down the street and they're driving a Ferrari, or they're driving an S500 or whatever. Well, there's a thought that comes to your mind. Maybe they're, wonder who they stole that from, or they must cheat and steal, or they must be unethical, or they must whatever, right? Because maybe that's what you heard growing up. Or maybe you heard growing up about abortion, like this is right and that's wrong. So what Troy's saying here, step number one, is get a blank sheet of paper. We talk about this all the time. If you're listening to this on the podcast, you can't see me doing this. If you're watching it on show here, you can. Get a clear blank sheet of paper and just put on top
values and write down the issues of the day. You're not going to have to go far to think about what the issues of the day are. Write them down. Abortion and this and that and all these other things. What do you believe? Now, your values and what you believe may or may not align with the truth. But what's important here, Troy, I think, is if you don't even know what you believe, you can't start to move towards truth.
Absolutely.
Right? So you got to start somewhere. We're not saying you're right or wrong initially in the process. We're saying go through the process. And then we're saying now that you've gone through the process, that's right to do. Now let's take these values that you have or these thoughts that you have and see how they align with the truth of God's word. And by the way, even if you say, I don't believe in God's word, I don't believe in the Bible, good. All we're asking you to do is embrace the journey. Find out for yourself.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
So that's number one. Check out what your values are. Write them down.
Write them
and
down.
by the way, do it with your spouse or family, whatever, because you are the voice that's speaking primarily into the ear of your children by your actions. What's number two?
Number two is decisions, your decisions. Now, this is where you have to kind of track your day. If values determine choices, choices determine results. So your choices are your decisions. We all make choices. I believe as a Christian, the most powerful spiritual ability that we've all been given is the power to choose.
I
mean, that's something to think about. It's free will. We all have been given the power to choose. Everything is a choice. So you've got to look at your choices, what you're making, because that's going to help you determine your values. Look at your day. Look at how you go into a conversation. Look at how you dealt with somebody who betrayed you. Look at how the argument went in your relationship. How did you manage that in your mind? What choices did you make? What came out of your mouth? Those are all things that I think it's important to take kind of a look at, blank sheet of paper, work through your day, figure it out. Because if the results aren't what you want, then you got to go backwards and look at
where's the root? Where's this coming from? And let me break this down and make it even real practical for you, because listen, I know everybody watching this show likes to make some money and spend some money. And by the way, you didn't get the device that you have, whether it's your phone or iPad or whatever, on you either making the money to spend it or you got the money somehow. And if you got it from the government, guess what? That's someone else's money that you're spending. So somehow, some way, the money came from somewhere. But let's talk about this real quick. Let's say you got $1,000 in your bank account. Maybe you only have $100. Maybe you only have 10. Maybe you got 100 million. I don't know. But let's think about this for a minute. Let's say you're starting out in life. You got $1,000 in a bank account, and your desire is to start a business. Your desire is to start and do something. You want to build a website. You want to do some things. And you've done some research, and you found out that it's going to cost you about $350 to $400 to build out some of the things that you need to do. And then you're going to need another $200 or $300 to spend on marketing some of the ideas so you can get it out to the public. Are you with me? So you got $1,000. It's going to cost you about $700 to kind of do what you need to do. And here you are walking by the Apple store, and all of a sudden you see the brand new iPhone 18, which doesn't exist right now, all right? But I promise you they'll come out with it. Pre-order, baby. Exactly. Like Tesla, just pre-order it. You may not even have the money. Just give us a little deposit. We'll put your name on a list. You get a letter in the mail, makes you feel cool. Kidding, of course. So you walk by the Apple store. You see this device. You know you got one already, but you're like, wow. I didn't realize they had that in red, Troy. I got to get red, and the back cover is just not going to do it for me. I need the newest camera. This one I got's got 2. That one's got 3. We all know more's better. So you're there saying, all right, dang it. But think about it, myself. You're talking to you right now. If I get this new phone, it's going to help me take better pictures. It's going to help me do better video. It's going to help me actually with better whatever. And now you're selling yourself on why you need your passion item of the moment. That's what you're doing. Walk into the Apple store, you buy that phone, just so happen you get a little bit of a discount because you traded yours in. Cost you $945 all in for the iPhone 18. Again, I'm projecting here for a minute. I'm kidding for a minute. But at the end of the day, you walk away, and now guess what happens? In your bank account, you got $55 left. You're like, dang it. Now I can't start my business, Troy.
Right.
I don't have the $700 to do it. And you're like, yeah, woe is me. The world's against me. No, you just made some dumb decisions. Right? So what we're talking about is decisions do have consequences. And that's why, Troy, you talked about making decisions.
Right.
That's practical. So take accountability in the decisions that you make. If you're out there sleeping around and you wonder why you got 4 kids with 3 different women, and you're like, I don't even know how that happened. Well, think about it, because it happened from some choices that you made, right?
Exactly.
So number 2 is decisions, choices, consequences,
Yep.
all that packed together. And that's something that happens daily. Whether we get up and have a positive attitude and negative attitude, the world's
All that
against
affects
me,
you.
the world's for me.
Yep.
How do we get then? What's number 3?
Number 3 is results.
Okay.
This is your goals. These are the things that you want to accomplish. So, you're looking at, what do I want? What do I see my marriage being? What do I see my kids being? What do I see my business being? What do I see?
And when you say
my
see, let me just break it down for people to make sure.
Vision.
Okay, so you're talking about this is what I want it to be.
Right.
Is that what you're
Your
telling
results.
me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Your results.
Okay, go ahead.
And so if you don't get the results that you want, then back up, look at your choices, back up, look at your values. But if you're taking accountability or taking an account of your values, processing your decisions, then you'll get the results that you want. But I think it's good to have some wins. Here's what I like to do. I like to put things ahead of me to celebrate when I win. So like I get to do this when this happens. And so I think results are a great way. So again, we're talking about the truth, walking the truth out. And this is a daily thing. It could be just in a simple friendship relationship. What do I want out of this? What do I want? For me, my vision, my goal is to draw the potential out of Michael Wall. So how am I going to get that result? Well, it comes back to a choice. I need to text Michael every day and tell him, man, he's a great guy. He's a stud. He's going to be fantastic. He's a great leader. He's a great father. I need to go back because I value relationships.
Yeah, and that takes consistency, by the way, right? Because you're in a place where if you want to encourage somebody along the way, I think one of the reasons people have lost the appreciation for when somebody says, hey, you're whatever, is because consistency, right? So we got to be consistent along the journey. But I love what you're saying as far as put those pictures in your mind. Zig talked a lot about, Troy, the idea that we will miss 100% of the targets that we don't aim for, right? Or that don't exist. Absolutely. Or whatever, however you want to say that, you're going to miss it. Wayne Gretzky said you'll miss 100% of the shots that you never take.
Yeah.
He said it that way. And if you're in a place where you're not going to be disciplined to getting in the Word, and that could just be, you say, Mike, there's so much information out there. What does that look like? Well, in my opinion, it starts with, I've always liked the book of John. That's just me personally. I think that's a great place to start.
Absolutely.
Start with John chapter 1. If you've watched Tim Tebow play football, you've seen John 3:16. You know what that says.
Yeah.
But start with John chapter 1. Start there. Grow there. Word by word, verse by verse, read and do. And then think about your life, as Troy said, who and where can I get the kind of results that I want? And Troy, let me ask you this question. Because, we've all heard it said before about the friends you hang with and, the books you read and all that kind of stuff is where you'll be in 5 years. How important, in your opinion, really is that?
I think it's hugely important. Who I hang out with, the people that I spend time with, I value tremendously. I also look at my life, so the people that are coming into my life have an impact on my destiny, and the people who are leaving my life have an impact on my destiny. So just as much as people entering my world have an impact on me, I also need to look at, because I think one of the things we struggle with, I know I do, I don't, maybe not, maybe you don't, maybe people that are watching don't, but I struggle when people leave my life. But what I've learned is sometimes they need to leave my life. And so I value relationships. I value them a lot. I value the time I spend with them. John Maxwell, not related, but John Maxwell taught me over and over, add value to people in whatever situation. Make an impact. Leave something on them when they walk away from you. And that's what I want to do.
Yeah.
Very important.
It's the idea of Dennis Waitley said once, which I love, and this has kind of been a thesis in a lot of the things that we've done, which is planting shade trees under which I'll never sit.
Oh, yeah.
Love that idea.
Man,
love that thinking and just quality solid. Okay, so we're talking about visualizing results, right? And by the way, one thing that's important with that is if you've ever worked out before, this is, again, another practical way to think about results. If you've ever worked out before and you've had a coach of some sort helping you along the way, like maybe you wanted to lose weight, or maybe you wanted to get more fit, or maybe you wanted to gain pounds, or, depending, a lot of people are like, well, gee, I want to lose pounds. I don't want to gain pounds. I don't know where you are in your journey, but you're in a place where you're saying, this is what I want to do. And now I'm finally sick and tired of being sick and tired of being sick and tired. So dang it, I'm hiring a coach.
Yeah.
And you go hire a coach, and the coach says, all right, listen, if you want to get here, you got to do this. You got to put in the work. And at some point in time in the journey, you get to choose, right, Troy, to say, you know what, I don't want to do this anymore. Or I'm going to stick with this. And that's where the circle really matters, the people you're hanging with, to help you, to get to the results that you're talking about. So we got know the truth, very important. Just again, practically, if you're going in, you're going to take a test, you're going to take a math test, and you didn't study, and you're like, Lord Jesus, help me. I got news for you.
You know what he says?
Yeah.
I don't have much to work with.
That's exactly right. You got the book, baby. I gave you the opportunity, and I'd love to partner with you, but you ain't putting in the work, right? So you got to put the work in, know the truth. The decisions that we make, really, really important. And results, number 3. What do we got? What's next?
That's all I got, man.
Well, that's all we need. That's all we need. Drop the mic, baby.
That's all I got.
That's all we need. Hey, I do want to land the plane with a couple more practical tips, because I know, Troy, listen, on your journey, sometimes people can step back. I know people have seen that in my journey. You know, they say, oh, you know, seen on Instagram or Facebook, and oh, he's here and he's there, and oh, wow, you know, all this stuff. And I love, you know, I think John said this as well, Maxwell, and maybe it was Zig, I can't remember who it was, but the idea that it takes a long time to become an overnight success.
Yeah.
And I think what's interesting is sometimes when you look at people, okay, as you're listening to this out there, you might look at people and you might see surface stuff and you're like, well, yeah, it's easy for them because they got this, or it's easy for them because they got that, or it's easy for them because whatever. So let's rewind the tape.
Okay.
You know, the rewind tape for me is my wife and I, we started out, we had a purple Ford Escort, 5-speed. She worked at the Outback Steakhouse, made $18,000 a year. We lived in an apartment, $400 a month.
Wow.
That's how we started the first company, right, in 2002. That's the story. That's the beginning. I remember going to sleep, Troy, where literally it was like every single night I'd go to bed and I'd wake up the next morning and I had a cough because the people below us smoked like crazy, and it just bothered me.
Wow.
So that was our story. We lived there for 2 years, bought our very first house, high dollar house, $82,000. I mean, it was legit. And even then,
but it was a house.
Even then, man, we were a 3-bedroom ranch house. I remember I was on my knees in the living room praying, God, I pray for blessing to be able to pay for this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And just continue to be faithful. So a lot of times you got to peel the layers of the onion back to say, wait a minute, just because you're seeing them here, seeing them there, seeing them here, you know, it's been 20 years of putting in and putting in and putting in and putting in. And oh, by the way, a lot of delayed gratification along the way.
That's big.
You don't just show up and say, hey, I'm going to hang at the breakers every day, because that's just the way life is.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, some people get that spoon. I didn't get that spoon. I grew up on the other side of the tracks, and I'm glad I did, because I learned a lot along the way. I'd love to hear some thoughts from you, just some little things that you learned on your beginning journeys. You told a little bit in the other show 1. If you missed it, go back and watch that. It's Standing in Truth in Challenging Times. But for show 2 here, just a couple tips for people practically to say, you know what, maybe you're not here, maybe you're not here, maybe you're not here, but wherever you are, there's a next step.
So I'm a high responsibility guy. I've always been. 12 years old, had 3 paper routes. 12 years old. So I was waking up at
4 in the morning?
4 in the morning.
Wow.
To deliver papers.
Yeah.
Now, I don't even know if they deliver papers anymore.
Yeah.
But I had a little red Raleigh Rampar bike.
Yeah.
I'd put the bag on the front, and I did it. Rain, shine,
now, if y'all don't know what he's
snow.
talking about, you say paper route. You're like, paper? What do they bring paper on a route? We're talking about a newspaper that you physically open, sit down. They'd wrap them up. It's in. I know some of you are older. Like, what are you talking about? What this is? Some of you that are 20, you're like, I've never heard of a paper route. So they put him in a bag. He gets all these stuff shipped to him, puts it in a bag, and then he rides his bike door to door,
delivering the papers,
delivering the newspaper to houses that requested it. AM, by the way. This is 4 a.m.
every day by myself, 12 years old.
Yeah.
So
it's amazing.
I think where people miss it is some of the things that you said. I think you have to learn responsibility. Responsibility is high. So fast forward, 18 years old, started living by myself, went to college, didn't have a lot of value on college, so kind of coasted through college. When I became a Christian at 21, things changed for me. I've always been an 100% commission sales job up until I became a pastor. 100% commission. So that means I don't work.
Yep.
I don't eat.
Yeah.
And so
a lot of health to that.
High responsibility. And so for me, it's doing the little things that make the biggest difference. It's little things that you do. I wake up every day. I spend time with God. I read my Bible every day. Every day I'm there. You know, my kids wake up, they know where to find me.
Yeah.
I'm in my office reading my Bible.
Yeah.
I go to bed at a reasonable time because I want to get up early.
Yeah.
I miss a lot of stuff on the weekends because I need to get ready for whatever's next.
Right.
High responsibility. I'm doing those little things.
Right.
You know, it's the little foxes that spoil the vine. I believe it's the little things, the little steps, the little early mornings, the extra 15 minutes that you add in there, the times that you're on time, just little things like that make a huge difference in your life. The little things that I did for other people, you know, I never devalued anybody. So whether it's not always talking to the main person, sometimes it's buying a coffee for the staff person, for the secretary, for the person who's working, for the intern, taking them under your wing. Hey, why don't you ride with me? Why don't you take a ride with me? And they're like, what? You want to ride with me? You know, those little things make a huge difference. And they mean so many big stuff.
Well, and
so much big stuff.
I think it's important, and so many big stuff is good too. I mean, if you're an English major, tune out. No, I'm kidding.
That's right.
But I mean, it really is, and I think you can bring it all together. Zig said once, which I love, you know, that if you help enough other people get what they want in life, you'll be able to get what you want. And I think that's so important, and I think responsibility is something that our culture has lost. You know, when I walk down the street, I interviewed a guy, really great guy, Dr. Vonk. He's the head of the main campus for Kaiser University. Was in private equity for 20 years. Wow. Just an amazing story. And one of the things that he said is if everybody picks up a piece of paper when they see it, there will be no paper to pick up.
Yeah.
It's about little things, responsibility. That's probably bad English, but it's really true. And I think that's one of the things that we got to think about, you know, not only as leaders, as people, because you are leading someone.
Yeah.
First off, you're leading yourself. And if you're not going anywhere, then you're not leading yourself very well. And you are the only one that can make the determination to make that shift.
Yeah.
Number one. Number two, if you have children, you are leading them. Whether you're passive or you're aggressive in your process, you are leading them. They are watching you, right, Troy?
Yeah.
So this is important that we got to say, okay, how am I leading? Who is following me, and what are they watching? You know, we've all heard it before, do as I say, not as I do, all that kind of stuff. And I know you heard that when you were young, right? I know I did anyways, for sure, sometimes. And it's like, wait a minute, time out. What does that really mean? And how does that apply to my life? And maybe I need to get more consistent in what I'm doing. So if you are entertainment focused, in other words, if your number one goal in life is how can I pacify the moment and be entertained, you're going to live a very substandard, very challenged, very mediocre, very lack of purposeful and purpose life. When you get on the train of saying, okay, it is now my job and ability to lead me well and dive into truth, that's where you kind of come out the other side, not only winning, but feeling strong about yourself. So let me ask you this, Troy. Last time I let you land the plane. If you were to give one thought to those watching this, saying, okay, if I had to compact everything that I had in my mind and give you one nugget for this moment, talking about putting truth into action, living your life with purpose, adding value to others, really getting into God's word, all the things we talked about. But what's one tip that you would give the viewers as they're watching us? I'm putting you on the spot, but I know you can handle it.
No, I think I would say take the step. I mean, it sounds really simple.
Yeah.
But I think we all procrastinate. And so have the conversation. Send the text message. Quit the job. Start the business. Whatever that looks like for you. Open the Bible.
Yeah.
Go to church. Have the tough conversation. Say I'm sorry. Those are all steps.
That's good.
Say I'm wrong.
Yeah.
You know, say I forgive you. Those are all one step. It's all our life is built around those just one simple steps. And so whatever that step looks like for the person that's watching right now, that's my challenge.
That's good. So there you go. We're going to leave it with that. Take the step. whatever that step is. And by the way, if you're like, I think I know what it is, but I'm not sure, let me give you a step to help you find your step. Right here. You know the beauty of blank sheets of paper? It's clear. You know exactly what's on it. Nothing. And when you take time with blank, right, you're in a place where turn your music off, turn your earbuds off, turn the noise off, find silence, get your pen. You don't need an iPad to make notes on. Go old school, get a pen or a pencil. Number 2, sharpener, you've been there, right? Crank it if you need to. Get it sharp, blank sheet of paper. Sit down and just be still. Be still. And think, what is my next step? And from doing that, you'll be applying what Troy's saying. And I can guarantee you when you apply step 1, you'll want to take step 2 and take step 3. Just remember this. You don't have to be great to start, but you got to start to be great. Okay? So let's take action. Let's take steps. Let's get practical. And let's think about what are we doing to plant seeds for the next generation? Because kids are watching us. People are watching you. You are going to leave a legacy. You're going to leave residue. My wife hates that word, but when I say it, but I'm going to share it because you will. You're going to leave residue on other people's lives when you bump into them. And they're going to walk away and they're going to say, wow, I was impressed, I was empowered, I was encouraged. Or they're going to say, that's just another person in the mix. Take the step. Remember, share this show with someone that needs to hear it. If you're listening to this on YouTube, make sure you like and subscribe and leave us your comments. We want to hear what you have to say about the show. If you got something about Pastor Troy, share a thought there as well. Freedom House, if you're in the Charlotte area, check them out. They got online. Where can they go find you? Let's talk about that.
Freedomhouse.cc.
Freedomhouse.cc. It's easy.
Easy.
Freedomhouse.cc. By the way, if you are struggling with your mind and fear and all of that kind of thing, the Panic Room. We're gonna throw that up here on the show, the Panic Room. We're going to have a link where you can get that as well. Really good content to help you. This is something that's not just like, hey, he thought, let me sit down and write this out. This is literally something.
My story.
Yeah, this is Troy's story. So he's worked through this, and we want to share that with you. And as always, our goal and desire is to help you live on purpose so you can live with purpose. All right, be blessed. Have a great day. Talk to y'all soon.